The notification sound on my phone should have been just another meaningless ping in my day. I was sitting in my favourite coffee shop grading papers from my third grade class when that innocent little chime changed everything. Looking back now, I realised that moment was when my old life ended and my new one began. The life where I was Camilla Thompson, devoted wife of 8 years, trusting to a fault. The woman who believed her husband David when he said those late nights were just extra shifts at the hospital. The fool who actually felt guilty for questioning why a radiologic technician needed to work until midnight so often. I almost ignored the message. It was from an unknown number, after all. But something made me tap that screen, and what I saw made my world tilt sideways. There was my husband, my David, shirtless, sleeping peacefully in a bed I didn't recognise, with rumpled sheets that definitely weren't ours. The angle of the photo was intimate, taken by someone lying right beside him. Someone who had clearly just been very close to my husband. But here's the thing that would have been laughable if it weren't so devastating. The message that came with it wasn't meant for me at all. Look what I woke up to this morning. Your girl knows how to pick them. This is what a real man looks like, unlike that boring accountant you're stuck with. I told you David was worth stealing. Wrong number. She had sent it to the wrong number entirely. I stared at that message for a full minute, my coffee growing cold in my hands. Students around me were chatting and typing, life continuing as normal while mine crumbled. The woman, whoever she was, had meant to send this gloating message to someone else. Someone who apparently had a boyfriend she considered boring compared to my husband. The professional part of my brain, the part that had spent years managing classroom chaos, kicked in first. I screenshot the message and photo immediately. Evidence. Then I sat back and really looked at what I was dealing with. This wasn't just an affair. This was a woman so proud of stealing my husband that she was bragging about it to her friends. Someone cruel enough to mock another woman's relationship while destroying mine. The casual cruelty in that message, this is what a real man looks like, told me everything I needed to know about her character. I should have been crying. I should have been shaking with rage or heartbreak. Instead, I felt something cold and sharp settle in my chest. Clarity. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same number. OMG, wrong number. Please delete that. It was meant for my friend. Too late, sweetheart. Way too late. I typed back calmly. Don't worry, I'm just David's wife. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding. The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared several times. She was panicking. Good. Finally. Please don't tell him I sent this by mistake. It would ruin everything. Ruin everything. She was worried about ruining everything now? I studied that first photo again, memorising every detail. The bedroom had pale yellow walls and a distinctive vintage brass headboard. There were art prints I could make out. Something with sunflowers. A small cactus on the nightstand. Details that would help me figure out where this was taken and, more importantly, who took it. What's your name? I texted back. She didn't respond for 10 minutes. When she did, it was just, please, I'm begging you, don't destroy this for me. Your name, I repeated. Veronica Martinez. Veronica Martinez. I filed that away. And who was this message supposed to go to? Another long pause. Does it matter? Please, I'll do anything. I'll stop seeing him if that's what you want. Just don't ruin this for me. Stop seeing him? As if this was her choice to make now. As if she was doing me a favour by offering to stop destroying my marriage. Who was it supposed to go to, Veronica? My friend Jessica. She's been telling me I should leave my boyfriend for David. That David is so much better than Tony. I was just showing off. I'm sorry. Jessica, Tony. More names to remember. So, Veronica had a boyfriend named Tony. The boring accountant she'd mentioned. and she had a friend, Jessica, who was apparently encouraging this affair, probably jealous that Tony wasn't as exciting as my husband. I looked around the coffee shop again. Everything looked the same, but I felt like I was seeing the world through new eyes. Sharper eyes. "Where do you work, Veronica?" "Why? Please, I told you I'd stop." "Where do you work?" "Mercy General Hospital, in the cafeteria. That's how I met David." Of course, Mercy General, where David worked. She served him lunch every day, probably. Smiled at him, flirted, made him feel special during his breaks. I could picture it perfectly, the innocent conversations that turned into something more, the gradual seduction of my hard-working, tired husband by someone young and exciting. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd gotten cocky. She'd wanted to brag to her friend Jessica about stealing someone else's man, about how much better David was than Jessica's Tony. And in her excitement, her cruel joy at hurting people she didn't even know, she'd sent that message to a random number. My number. "How long?" I asked. "What?" "How long have you been sleeping with my husband, Veronica?" The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared again. She was probably crying now, or pacing, or maybe calling David in a panic. Let her panic. I had all the time in the world now. 6 months, she finally admitted. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of David coming home to me, kissing me hello, asking about my day, all while carrying the smell of another woman on his skin. "Thank you for being honest," I typed. "I need to think about all this. Please don't do anything crazy. Tony doesn't deserve to get hurt. He's a good guy. Tony doesn't deserve to get hurt." What about me? What about the wife she'd been helping David lie to for 6 months? But that message told me something important. Veronica cared about Tony. She didn't want him to know about David, which meant she probably wasn't planning to leave him. She was planning to have both. The stable, reliable boyfriend and the exciting married lover on the side. I put my phone down and finished my coffee, thinking. Veronica Martinez, cafeteria worker at Mercy General, having an affair with my husband David for 6 months. Has a boyfriend named Tony who works as an accountant. Has a friend named Jessica who encourages the affair and apparently thinks Tony is boring compared to David. The parameters of my new reality were becoming clear, and with them, the parameters of what I needed to do next. I gathered my papers and headed home to the house I shared with my cheating husband. That cold, sharp feeling in my chest growing stronger with every step. Veronica Martinez had made the mistake of her life when she sent me that photo. She just didn't know it yet. David came home at his usual time that evening, 6:30 p.m., just like every Tuesday for the past 8 years. He walked through our front door with that same tired smile, set his keys in the ceramic bowl I'd made in pottery class, and kissed my forehead exactly the way he always did. "How was your day, sweetheart?" he asked, loosening his tie. The word sweetheart used to make me feel warm. Now it felt like acid on my skin. "Productive," I said, stirring the pasta sauce I'd been making while planning his destruction. "How about yours? Any interesting cases?" "Just the usual, nothing exciting." He grabbed a beer from the fridge and settled into his favourite armchair. Dr. Peterson had me running scans all afternoon. I barely had time for lunch. Barely had time for lunch, but apparently plenty of time to sleep with Veronica Martinez from the cafeteria. I watched him scroll through his phone while I served dinner, noting how he angled the screen away from me. New habit, I realised. How had I missed that? "David," I said, setting his plate down carefully, "do you know anyone named Veronica?" His hand froze halfway to his mouth, just for a second, but I caught it. "Veronica? I don't think so. Why?" The lie came so easily to him, so practiced. How many other lies had I swallowed over the past 6 months? A parent mentioned that name today. Thought you might know her family." He relaxed, took a bite of pasta. "Doesn't ring a bell. You know I'm terrible with names." After dinner, while David watched television, I locked myself in our home office and began my real work. First, I created a new email address, anonymous.truth.seeker@gmail.com. Then, I started researching Veronica Martinez, Mercy General Hospital. It took me 20 minutes to find her social media profiles. People really should be more careful about their privacy settings. Her Instagram was a gold mine. Photo after photo of her life, tagged locations, friends, family. And there, in a picture from 3 weeks ago, was the bedroom from this morning's photo. Yellow walls, brass headboard, sunflower prints. Her apartment. But more importantly, scattered throughout her photos were pictures with Tony Alvarez, according to the tags. A pleasant-looking man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He appeared in dozens of photos spanning back 3 years. Couple photos at restaurants, vacation pictures, family gatherings where he was clearly accepted as part of her family. Tony Alvarez worked at Henderson and Associates accounting firm, according to his LinkedIn profile. He'd been with the company for 5 years, recently promoted to senior associate. His Facebook showed a man who posted about hiking, cooking, and how proud he was of his girlfriend's achievements at the hospital. The most recent post was from yesterday. 2 days until our 3rd anniversary dinner. Already have reservations at that Italian place. Veronica's been wanting to try. Can't wait to surprise her with... Well, it wouldn't be a surprise if I posted it here. Their anniversary was Thursday, 2 days away. I sat back in my chair, pieces of a plan forming in my mind. Tony seemed like a genuinely good man who loved Veronica completely. He was planning some kind of surprise for their anniversary. Probably had been saving money, putting thought into making her happy. All while she was bragging to her friends about how much better my husband was than him. My phone buzzed. Another message from Veronica. "Have you told him? Please respond. I'm going crazy here." I typed back. "I haven't decided what to do yet. I need to understand the full situation first." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I need to know if this is just physical or if you think you love him." The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared several times. When her response finally came, it was exactly what I expected. "It's not like that. I love Tony. David is just fun, exciting. It doesn't mean anything serious. Doesn't mean anything serious. 8 years of my marriage, 6 months of lies, and it was just fun for her. Just excitement." "Does Jessica know about Tony?" I asked. "Of course she knows about Tony. She thinks I should break up with him for David, but I won't do that. Tony is stable. He's my future." So she wanted both, the reliable boyfriend for security and my husband for thrills. She was planning to keep lying to Tony, keep using David, and somehow maintain her perfect little double life. "What did David tell you about me?" I asked, a longer pause this time. "He said you've grown apart, that you don't understand him anymore, that you're focused on your students and don't pay attention to him." The audacity of it took my breath away. David had turned me into the neglectful wife in their story. I was the obstacle to their happiness, the boring woman who didn't appreciate what she had. I opened a new browser window and found Henderson and Associates' website, professional photos of all the staff, including Tony. Their office address, phone number, email format, everything I needed. Then I composed a careful message to Veronica. "I need time to process this. Don't contact me again unless I message you first. And, Veronica, if you really love Tony, you should think about what you're doing to him." She responded immediately, "I would never hurt Tony. This has nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him." As if betraying someone you claim to love has nothing to do with them. Over the next hour, I created a comprehensive file on my computer. Screenshots of every message Veronica had sent me. photos from her Instagram showing her apartment, her life, her relationship with Tony. David's work schedule cross-referenced with the dates of her more recent posts. I could see now when she started posting cryptic messages about exciting new developments and feeling alive again. The timeline was clear. 6 months ago, David started working overtime. 6 months ago, Veronica's social media posts shifted from being entirely about Tony to including mysterious hints about secret excitement in her life. I found Jessica's profile too. Jessica Chen, a nurse at City General Hospital across town. Her posts were full of complaints about her job, her dating life, her general dissatisfaction with everything. Comments on Veronica's photos made it clear she was encouraging the affair, telling Veronica she deserved someone who appreciates her, and that some women get all the luck with men. Jessica was living vicariously through Veronica's affair, probably bitter about her own romantic failures. At midnight, David came upstairs and found me at the computer. "Still grading papers?" he asked, starting to undress for bed. "Just finishing up some lesson plans," I said, closing the laptop smoothly. He kissed the top of my head. "Don't stay up too much longer." I listened to him brush his teeth, wash his face, go through the same bedtime routine we'd shared for 8 years. When he climbed into our bed, the bed he came home to after sleeping in Veronica's, I felt that cold, sharp feeling in my chest grow even stronger. "David," I said in the darkness, Do you ever think about what would happen if you lost everything that mattered to you?" He was quiet for so long I thought he'd fallen asleep. "Sometimes," he finally said. "I guess I deserve whatever happened. People who take good things for granted usually do." Perfect answer. He'd just given me permission for what came next. Thursday morning, I woke up before dawn and checked Tony's Facebook again. He'd posted an update at 11 p.m. the night before. "Picked up the surprise today? Tomorrow night is going to be perfect. 3 years with the most amazing woman in the world deserves something special." The most amazing woman in the world, who was at that very moment planning to sneak away to see my husband after her anniversary dinner. I smiled in the darkness of my bedroom, listening to David's steady breathing beside me. It was time to give Tony Alvarez the surprise of his life. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that usually made me feel hopeful about the day ahead. Today, it felt like justice itself was blowing through the trees. I waited until David left for work before making my first move. Using my anonymous email, I sent a message to Henderson, an Associates General Inquiry address. "Good morning. I'm trying to reach Tony Alvarez regarding a personal matter. Could you please provide his direct email? It's concerning his girlfriend, Veronica Martinez, and a situation she's involved in. This is time-sensitive as it relates to their anniversary today. Thank you." Within an hour, I had Tony's work email address from a helpful receptionist who assumed I was a friend planning anniversary surprises. Next, I crafted the most important message of my life. "Dear Tony, you don't know me, but I have information you need before your anniversary dinner tonight. Veronica Martinez has been having an affair with my husband David Thompson for 6 months. I have proof. She accidentally sent me a photo of them together this Tuesday, along with messages mocking your relationship. I'm attaching screenshots. I am sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you deserve to know the truth before you give her whatever surprise you've planned. A concerned stranger who believes you deserve better." I attached every screenshot, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. The original photo of David in her bed, her cruel messages about Tony being boring compared to a real man, her admission that the affair had been going on for 6 months, her statement that she would never leave Tony because he was stable, and her future. Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send. The rest of the morning crawled by. I taught my third graders, helped them with their math worksheets, listened to their stories about pets and siblings, all while my phone burned in my pocket. Every notification made my heart race, but none were from Tony. At lunch, I finally heard back from Veronica. David is acting weird today. Did you say something to him? I hadn't spoken to David since our conversation in the darkness last night. His guilty conscience was eating at him. I told you I needed time to think, I replied. Maybe he can sense something's wrong. He keeps asking me strange questions, like if I've told anyone about us. Have you? Only Jessica, like I said. And now you, obviously. Please tell me you haven't done anything. I left her hanging. Let her stew in anxiety. At 2 p.m, my anonymous email account chimed with a new message. I need to know if this is real. Can you meet me? Tony. My hands trembled as I typed back. Yes, it's real. I can meet you at Riverside Park, Main Pavilion, at 4 p.m. I'll be wearing a red scarf. I understand this is devastating, but you need to know before tonight. How do I know you're not some crazy person trying to break us up? I attached one more screenshot, Veronica's Instagram post from that morning, a selfie of her getting ready for work with the caption, "Anniversary dinner tonight, 3 years with my baby. He has no idea what surprises are in store." The cruel irony of that post, written while she was planning to betray him again tonight, would speak for itself. I'll be there, Tony replied. At 3:45 p.m, I sat on a bench in Riverside Park, watching families play on the playground while I waited to destroy someone's world. The red scarf felt heavy around my neck like a flag of war. Tony Alvarez was exactly what his photo suggested, a good man. I could see it in the way he walked, shoulders slightly hunched with the weight of what he'd learned. His eyes were red-rimmed and he clutched his phone like a lifeline. Are you? He started when he saw me. I'm Camilla, I said softly. I'm sorry we have to meet like this. He sat down heavily beside me. I've read everything you sent me 5 times. I keep thinking I'm misunderstanding something. You're not misunderstanding anything. She told me she loved me this morning, he said, his voice breaking. She was so excited about dinner tonight. How could she say that knowing what she's been doing? I had no answer that would make it hurt less. What were you planning to surprise her with? He pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. I was going to propose. The box sat between us like a bomb. All of that hope, all that love, all those carefully saved dollars for a ring she would never deserve. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Why are you doing this? He asked. I mean, I'm grateful, but why help me instead of just confronting your husband? It was a fair question. Because you're planning to build a life with someone who thinks you're boring compared to my husband. Because you're about to propose to someone who's been lying to you for 6 months. Because you deserve so much better than someone who would destroy 2 relationships for excitement. He stared at the ring box. What do I do now? That's up to you. But Tony, whatever you decide, don't let her know I contacted you until after you've made your choice. She thinks I'm still deciding whether to tell my husband. You haven't told him yet? I smiled, and it felt sharp as glass. I'm saving that conversation for when it will have the maximum impact. We sat in silence for a few minutes, watching children play while both our worlds crumbled around us. I have to go, he finally said, standing up. I need to figure out what to say to her. Tony, I called as he walked away. Whatever happens tonight, remember that you deserve someone who chooses you every day, not someone who settles for you. He nodded without turning around. At 6 p.m, I was home making dinner when David texted. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. Working late, on the night of Veronica's anniversary dinner with Tony. I texted back, no problem, I might go to bed early anyway. At 7:30, Veronica posted an Instagram story from Romano's Italian restaurant. She and Tony at a candlelit table, both dressed up, Tony looking handsome in a navy suit but with something strained around his eyes. Anniversary dinner with my love, she captioned it. 3 perfect years. 3 perfect years. while planning to sneak away to see my husband afterward. My phone buzzed at 8:15, a text from an unknown number. "This is Tony. I didn't propose. I told her I knew everything. She's in the bathroom crying, but I think she's texting someone, probably your husband. I'm leaving the restaurant now. Thank you for telling me the truth." 8:20 p.m. Veronica's Instagram story showed an empty restaurant table. No explanation. 8:30 p.m. David texted me. "Something came up at work. Might be very late." Something came up. Veronica's world was falling apart, so she was running to him for comfort. My husband was about to console his mistress about getting caught cheating on her boyfriend. I poured myself a glass of wine and settled in to wait. The hardest part was over. Tony knew the truth. Veronica's perfect double life was crashing down around her. Now it was time for David to learn that actions have consequences, and I knew exactly how to make sure he'd never forget this lesson. At 10:47 p.m, David's key turned in our front door. I heard him pause in the hallway, probably checking if any lights were on, calculating whether I was still awake. The house was dark except for the soft glow from my laptop screen in the kitchen. "Camilla?" he called softly. "In here," I replied, my voice steady as steel. He found me sitting at our kitchen table, laptop open, that original photo of him in Veronica's bed displayed in full screen glory. The screenshot was crystal clear under our pendant light, every detail of his sleeping face, every wrinkle in those unfamiliar sheets, every inch of the betrayal that had started this war. David froze in the doorway like a deer caught in headlights. His mouth opened and closed several times, no sound emerging. "Rough night at the hospital?" I asked conversationally, taking a sip of wine. "Camilla, I can explain. Can you?" I turned the laptop toward him. "Because this seems pretty self-explanatory. Though I have to admit, Veronica's timing was impeccable when she sent this to me by mistake on Tuesday." The colour drained from his face. "She sent that to you?" "Wrong number," I said with a smile that could cut glass. "She meant to send it to her friend Jessica, bragging about stealing you from me, about how you were so much better than her boring boyfriend Tony." David slumped against the doorframe. "Oh, God. Tony." "Yes, Tony. Sweet Tony, who was planning to propose to her tonight." I clicked to the next screenshot. Veronica's cruel message about Tony being nothing compared to a real man like David. Instead, he's probably at home right now, wondering how he could have been so blind about the woman he loved. "How do you know about the proposal?" I laughed, and it sounded foreign in my own ears. "I met with Tony this afternoon. Lovely man. He deserved to know the truth before he wasted an engagement ring on someone who calls him boring behind his back." David's legs gave out. He sank into the chair across from me, head in his hands. "What did you tell him?" "Everything." I clicked through the screenshots methodically. The photo, her messages, the timeline of your affair, how she told me she'd never leave him because he was stable and her future, while you were just for excitement. "Camilla, please, please what? Please don't destroy your perfect little arrangement. Please pretend I never found out so you can keep having your cake and eating it too." I stood up and walked to our kitchen counter, where I'd placed a manila envelope earlier. Inside were printed copies of everything, every screenshot, every message, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. "Do you know what she told me when I asked if she loved you?" I continued, pulling out the papers. "She said it wasn't serious, that you were just fun, that she loved Tony and would never leave him." David's head snapped up. "That's not true. She said she wanted to be with me. She said you and I were over anyway." "Did she?" I smiled again. "Because here's her exact words. I love Tony. David is just fun, exciting. It doesn't mean anything serious." I placed the printout in front of him. His face crumpled as he read Veronica's actual words. "She also told me you complained that I was boring, that I didn't understand you anymore, that I was too focused on my students to pay attention to you. I sat back down, watching him squirm. Imagine my surprise, David, since I've spent 8 years trying to make you happy. I never said those things. Didn't you? Because she was very specific. She said you told her we'd grown apart, that I didn't appreciate what I had. David's phone buzzed on the table between us. The caller ID showed Veronica. Neither of us moved to answer it. She's been calling you all night, hasn't she? I observed. Ever since Tony confronted her at the restaurant, ever since her perfect little world came crashing down. She needs her fun to comfort her about losing her future. The phone stopped ringing, then immediately started again. Answer it, I said calmly. What? Answer it. I want to hear what she has to say. David's hand shook as he picked up the phone. Hello? Even from across the table, I could hear Veronica's sobbing voice. David, thank God. Tony knows everything. He left me at the restaurant. I don't know what to do. I need to see you. Can you come over? I can't. I'm at home. Does Camilla know? David's eyes met mine across the table. I nodded encouragingly. Yes, he whispered. She knows. Oh God. Oh God. How did this happen? I was so careful with my messages. I never sent anything to the wrong... Veronica's voice cut off abruptly. I could practically hear the wheels turning in her head. The wrong number. The photo she'd sent Tuesday morning meant for Jessica. It was her, Veronica breathed. She's the one who told Tony. That bitch destroyed everything. That bitch. After 6 months of sleeping with my husband, I was the bitch. I held out my hand. Give me the phone. David hesitated for a split second, then handed it over. Hello, Veronica, I said sweetly. Silence. Then, you, evil witch, you ruined my life. I ruined your life, I laughed. Veronica, you sent me a photo of my husband in your bed by mistake, along with messages mocking me and Tony. All I did was make sure Tony knew the truth before he wasted an engagement ring on you. You had no right. Tony didn't deserve to be hurt like this. Tony didn't deserve to be lied to for 6 months either, but that didn't stop you. This is between you and David. You should have left Tony out of it. I looked at David, who was staring at the table like he wanted to disappear through it. You know what, Veronica, you're absolutely right. This is between me and David. I smiled. David, honey, would you like to tell Veronica how this is going to work from now on? He looked up at me with desperate eyes. Camilla, go ahead, tell her. David took a shaky breath. Veronica, I can't see you anymore. What? No. David, we can work this out. We can leave them both and start over. Isn't that what we talked about? I raised an eyebrow at David. Is that what you talked about? Sometimes we talked about being together, but you told me she said it wasn't serious, I interrupted. You told me she said you were just for fun. David closed his eyes. The lies were catching up to him from both sides. David! Veronica's voice was getting hysterical through the phone. Don't let her turn you against me. She's manipulating you. We love each other. Do you love her, David? I asked quietly. The kitchen fell silent except for Veronica's ragged breathing through the speaker. I don't know, he finally whispered. Well, that's honest at least. I took the phone back. Veronica, it's been enlightening talking with you, but I think we're done here. Wait, this isn't over. I'll tell everyone what kind of person you really are. Go ahead, I said calmly. Tell them I'm the kind of person who shares evidence of adultery with the other victim. I'm sure that will really damage my reputation. I hung up and placed the phone on the table. David and I sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of 8 years and 6 months of lies hanging between us. What happens now? He finally asked. I closed my laptop and stood up. Now, you pack a bag and leave. We'll figure out the rest later. Camilla, please. I know I screwed up, but we can work through this. Can we? I picked up the manila envelope. Because I'm not sure you understand the situation yet. This isn't just about you and Veronica anymore. This is about who I've discovered you really are. I pulled out one more document I hadn't shown him yet, a printed screenshot of his text messages from tonight. Something came up at work. Might be very late. You lied to me tonight, David. After everything had already fallen apart, after Veronica's life had already imploded, you still chose to lie to me and go comfort your mistress instead of coming home to your wife. His face went white. How did I know you weren't at work? Because I called the hospital. You clocked out at 5:30 p.m. The final piece of evidence, the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. Pack your bags, David. When you've decided who you really want to be, we can talk about what comes next. As he walked upstairs to pack, I poured myself another glass of wine and opened my laptop one more time. One final message to send. Tony, this is Camilla. I wanted you to know that David just chose his career and reputation over his marriage to protect himself, just like Veronica chose her security with you over honesty. You and I deserve people who choose us first every single time. I hope you find that someday. Take care of yourself. I hit send and closed the laptop. Outside, I could hear David loading his car. Soon, I would be alone in the house we'd shared for 8 years. But for the first time in 6 months, I wouldn't be living a lie. And that felt like the sweetest victory of all.